Islam was? Please be seated. Arise, giving all praise to Allah, Father of the universe, the cherisher and sustainer of all the balanced universes. Extend highest honors to his holy and divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the founder, the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam? We extend high honors to his forerunner, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the forerunner of the Prophet, the founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, who did indeed warn and stir up the nations. Islam? We extend high honors to the Moorish flag, the red flag with the green 5-pointed star in the center. These 5 points represent love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. These are the 5 highest principles known to man. Islam? We give honors to the American flag, also known as the Stars and Stripes. This flag exists as a constant reminder that the European Old Youth Moors compound interest. Islam? We give honors to noble Sheik staff, noble vanguard staff who keep the peace. We give honors to you, the Eels and Bays, for without you there is no Moorish movement. Islam? How's everyone in the holy night? Praise Allah, praise Allah. I'd like to open by demonstrating from our Holy Quran, the Moorish Science Temple of America, the chapter entitled, The Breath of Heaven. That will be chapter, 37. Here in Islam, you all are there.
Islam.
Holy instruction from the Prophet, the breath of heaven, reads, Vaunt not the body because it was first formed, nor of thy brain because therein thy soul resideth. Is not the master of the house more honorable than its walls? The ground must be prepared before the corn is planted. The potter must build his furnace before he can make his porcelain. Let me read that verse again. The ground must be prepared before the corn be planted. The potter must build his furnace before he can make his porcelain. As the breath of heaven saith unto the waters of the deep, this way shall thy billows roll, and no other. Thus high and no higher shall they raise their fury. So let thy spirit, O man, actuate and direct thy flesh. So let it repress its wilderness. Thy body is as the globe of the earth. Thy bones, the pillars that sustain it on its basis. As the ocean giveth rise to springs, whose waters return again into its bosom through the rivers, so runneth thy life from thy outwards, and so runneth it again into its place. Do not both retain their course forever? Behold, the same Allah ordaineth them. Is not thy nose the channel to perfumes, thy mouth the path to delicacies? Are not thine eyes the sentinels that watch for thee? Yet, how often are they unable to distinguish truth from error? Keep thy soul in moderation. Teach thy spirit to be attentive to its good. So shall these, its ministers, be always to thee conveyances of truth. Thine hand, is it not a miracle? Is there in creation aught like unto it? Wherefore was it given thee, but that thou mightest stretch it out to the assistance of thy brother? Why of all living things, why of all things living, are thou alone made capable of blushing? The world shall read thy shame upon thy face, therefore do nothing shameful. Fear and dismay, which rob thy countenance of its ruddy splendor. Avoid guilt, and thou shalt know that fear is beneath thee, that dismay is unnamely. Wherefore to thee alone speaks shadows in the vision of the pillow. Reverence them, for know that dreams are from on high. Thou man alone can speak. Wonder at thy glorious prerogative, and pay to him who gave it to thee a rational and welcome praise, teaching thy children wisdom, instructing the offspring of thy loins in piety. Islam, Morris?
Islam.
Surely Allah speaks the truth to his holy divine prophet Islam. Verse 2, or instruction 2, I'd like to draw on. The ground must be prepared before the corn be planted. The potter must build his furnace before he can make his porcelain. We must remember, with the great uplifting program of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, we have to remember that the core thing to pulling this off is the establishment of relationships. Me being a Libra, that's my primary energy, relationship. And it's no strange happening. It's the seventh house, being justice. And the prophet tells us that the peace of society dependeth upon justice. All right, and it's very important for these relationships to be built upon love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Because if not, Moors, we'll find that many times we'll put the cart before the horse. Because again, if the ground must be prepared before the corn be planted, right? Anybody ever did any planting before? Right? It's not easy tilling that ground and turning that soil over. And you got to go at a certain depth, got to turn it over, it's back breaking, get up, wipe and sweat, got to get at it again, you got to do whole rows, so on and so forth, right? And rows got to be even, it's a science to it, right? It's the same thing with, with building relationships. It's the same thing with, with nation building. It's a very delicate process, which is why generally when, in governmental building, when you look at, let's say the Office of Secretary of State in the U.S. federal government, the Office of Secretary of State is a unique position because the Secretary of State is the head diplomat for the United States of America. The Secretary of State represents the United States interests abroad. So basically, everything that the Secretary of State says is pretty much supposed to be in line with the position of the President of the United States, which is basically supposed to be based upon the will of the people. Islam. So, it's a very, it's a process. You can't just become Secretary of State. Even if you ran, if you don't have the qualification, you can't just become a Secretary of State. You have to have the background. And generally, you look into the background of a lot of these Secretary of States, you'll find societies or organizations such as your trilateral commissions, your Council on Foreign Relations, so on and so forth. These are different groups that groom people for these types of posts. You know what I'm saying? Even if you go back into their, before their college days and high school, they might have been parts of particular orders, such like the Order of Demolay, which where they start right after Boy Scouts, all the way up to 18, grooming you in ceremony and form. Grooming you in the particular aspects of polity, or the mannerisms, or like we could say in Arabic, adab, which is etiquette. You know what I'm saying? And these are very important to have because it's the thing in civilized governments that delineates a civilized person from a savage. You know what I'm saying? What was it that once our forefathers fell from grace that made it lawful for the Catholic Church to call us savages? When you take everything from a people, their God systems, their cosmologies, their laws, that you take all of this stuff away, the culture and everything, what do you have left? You have a raving beast. You see what I'm saying? Which justified the title of savage in the doctrines of discovery. Islam wars. So, these are things that we have to remember. So when the prophet, and throughout his bodies of work, the entire body of work, he's giving you degrees of understanding. You know what I mean? And I know here at Temple Number 19, one thing that we strive to stand on, whether it's one person in the audience, or if it's a room full of people. Each one of us, who strive for the name of faithful, because the prophet clearly in Acts 7, he tells us what to do to qualify for that, for such, right? We labor diligently to manifest these in our dealings with one another, and our dealings with our brother man, our sister woman abroad, right? And I like to ask them was constantly what are you known for? You know what I mean? We're clearly Moorish American on the holy day, right? But when we are in Asia, are we known for that as well? You know what I'm saying? Are we just as Moorish in Asia as we are when we're around the company of one another? You see? And this is the thing, Moors, have a hard time getting past because they haven't, many of us haven't shattered the inner Negro within ourselves. Islam Moors, I tell Moors all the time, if you haven't been, groomed to the point where, I even ask this, I even put this out there, have you been Muslim longer than you were a Negro? That's my formula. If you haven't been Muslim longer than you've been Negro, your inner Negro might show up unexpected. It's all of us, And this text right here, the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, gives us, the remedies for all of that. You know what I'm saying? So we can, dust ourselves off and present ourselves to the world as the descendants of the civilizers, as opposed to just the civilized. All right? But then the prophet goes forward in ayat or verse or instruction 5, right? He gives you a degree. He says, thy body is as the globe of the earth, thy bones, the pillars, that sustain it on its basis. All right? So he just gave you body, globe, earth, bones, pillars, sustain, and basis. Now, if you study, various different orders around the planet, what you have to remember that, again, our Moorish ancient fathers established these various different orders around the planet. So whether you want to call it Freemasonry, Rosicrucianism, or whatever, our forefathers established these things, to give humanity a system of order, okay? So we have to be able to recognize, if we're talking to one of these ones that are, of these particular orders, we have to be able to recognize the language that they speak in, okay? Moors indeed must be multi-dialectical, multilingual, you know what I'm saying? However, the Moors in the modern day have become what we like use the term xenophobic, the fear of other cultures. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Moor and I don't speak nothing else. Okay, that's cool, but you can realize by saying that you're a Moor, that infers that you speak everything. Islam, all right? But that globe, the masters of the globe, the original designers, the original cartographers, the original map makers, had to have the knowledge of the stars, because as above, so below, as within, so without. Islam? All right? So it gives you that, thy body is as the globe of the earth, and your body is indeed the earth. Islam, Moors? Islam says, thy bones, the pillars, right? We hear this phrase in modern day, culture where they talk about, one who's upright, right? Being upright, right? Being the pillar of the community, right? And a pillar cannot stand. If you've analyzed pillars and how they're designed, all pillars stand upon a basis. There's a base that it stands on. Islam? Now, if you see the prophet on the front of the 101s, and if we were to look at the prophet, Noble Ali, as a pillar, okay? His foot is placed upon the rock of salvation, which represents the basis. Islam? Right? So it says, thy bones, the pillars that sustain it on its basis. In our bodies, our bones are that which offer us support. Islam? Our rib cage is indeed that which wraps around our organs to protect our inner organs from injury. Islam? All right? So we have to utilize, the upright, the one who came demonstrating the upright degree, which is the degree of the Prophet Noble Ali, because Prophet Noble Ali, once he passed form, his whole life, mission, work, and legacy became a degree for us to master. So all of us have to master the degree of Prophet Noble Ali, if indeed you're going to call yourself a Moorish American Muslim. Islam? So we have to, understand that principle. And the concept of being on your basis, and when the Prophet stood us up and dusted us off, he put us on our 45. You know what I'm saying? And that 45 is representing completion. If you get your 9 there, right? All right? It represents completion, which we call that our square. Islam? All right? So the Prophet is speaking to us through, through degrees for those who can comprehend. All right? And all of this teaching, all of this, all of this science, all these things that are brought according to science are designed to get us to the point to, raise up the temple of the perfected man and woman. Islam? All right? Now I like to say more is that, the process of nation building is it's a very intricate one, and it's not easy, right? When things go awry, the Prophet gives us, a measure that says, revenge and malice have no place in his heart. Islam? He also gives us a holy covenant of the Asiatic nations, where he gives us a degree that says, prefer not a stranger before thine own blood. Islam? So we have to have a way that when things don't go according to script, right, that behind closed doors we deal with our problems. Islam? Social media, which is by and large, in my general opinion, which offers no proof of truth, but has been one of the biggest divisive tools to divide the Moorish American Muslims, because we're suffering from problems even our Moorish American Muslim forefathers didn't have. You know what I'm saying? About people's business being paraded in the street and all this kind of, for everybody to know at the click of a button, everybody knows all at once. That stuff didn't exist in the time of Kirkman Bey and Milieu and so on and so forth, right? But it's here, right? And as a result of it being here, we have to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Every so often I put out a call for Moors that's under the sound of my voice to purge and or clean up your social media, your Facebook page, your Twitters, whatever you're on. Go through and clean it up, because we all, folly calls us all. You know what I'm saying? So we have to get to the point where, if we accumulate a certain amount of folly on our page, we respect our prophet enough. You know what I'm saying? That we're not going to respect his movement that way. Islam, because I bear witness, that the world is watching. And we've been contacted with all different types of, whether it be agencies, whether it be foreign nationals, whether it be whatever, and they're always letting us know that they're watching and that they're gaining from the movement. But then they'll inbox me on some, I don't understand why you're arguing with each other in the open like this. And I got to come and try to explain 89 years worth of, savagery in terms of, us falling out with one another, right? But it would just behoove us, saying that when we got to deal with our stuff, we deal with it behind closed doors. I'm a big proponent of that. We men and women, we not always going to agree. Not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Noble Drew Ali was a prophet of Allah. They didn't agree with him. He didn't agree with Moors. They fell out. But when the prophet was in the form, the Moor Science Temple of America was united. He was the founder of the uniting of the Moor Science Temple of America. Islam, we've strived, to adhere to number 19, to always keep, an open door policy. But then there have been ones throughout, our time of being chartered, which is 11 years, that we've had to close the door to. You know what I'm saying? Because again, prophet says that, the angels are the one that, keep the unbelievers out of the holy city.
That's right.
And how do you deem yourself to be an unbeliever? Like, you deem yourself to be an unbeliever when, all the principles have been violated. Probably even says we are for love, truth, peace, and freedom. But when these principles are violated, justice must take its course. You see what I'm saying? And so it's a heavy responsibility, because again, we have ones that that respect this particular charter and the work that's being done here, and we try to keep things on a certain level, and we try to keep it more. And at the same time, we labor to keep things in line with our forerunner and our prophet. Islam, just to give you just some breath from our prophet. From our forerunner, just so we can get an ideal on the ground must be prepared before the corn be planted. Because the one that tilled the ground for Prophet Noble Drew Ali was Marcus Garvey. So inside of Marcus Garvey's message to the people, right? Course of African Philosophy, lesson 20, in a chapter called Living for Something. He gives us the instruction. He says, life is an important function. It was given for the purpose of expression. The flower expresses itself through the beauty of its bloom. The vine expresses itself through its rambling, search, and settling its own peculiar nature. The tree expresses itself in its smiling green leaves, shaking branches, and sometimes hanging fruit. The lark expresses itself in its laughter and song. The river expresses itself in its gentle meandering unto the sea, and man expresses himself according to the idealistic visions of his nature. Now, one thing, if you notice that, you see him making a lot of references to nature, right? And the masters, to get ones to think, to demonstrate the possibilities of man, will often refer to nature to get you to trace yourself back.
Islam.
Because we've forgotten that we came out of a state of nature and formed these cities. You know what I'm saying? So we forget that we come from that, right? But yet, man and all, supposed to be the Lord of the, the manifest. We forget that in that state of nature, there's a certain system of order, right? Now, whether it's, it gels well with our sensibilities or not, that's a whole other thing. But it has its own system of order, right? So the masters often make us reflect back to be able to see, well, look at the ants, and look at the bees, and look at the, and upon reflecting on it, it's like, wow, they don't have those problems that we have. Quite sure they got their own problems. I seen ants have wars. Do y'all know that? They get busy. They slam each other down, snatching their heads off. They do the whole thing, right? But still, there's a system of order, right? It says there's a scope for each life. Let yours find its scope and fully express itself. Man should have a purpose, and that purpose he should always keep in view with the hope of achieving it in the fullest satisfaction to himself. Be not aimless, drifting and floating with the tide. The it doesn't go your way. And that's, in perfect harmony with Sheik Rashid's demonstration. It says, to find your purpose, you must search yourself, and with the knowledge of what is good and what is bad, select your course, steering towards the particular object of your dreams or desire. Never enter upon life's journey without a program. Simpleton as you may be, you can have a program. No ship ever reaches port without a positive destination beforehand. Wow. Otherwise, it will drift on the mighty ocean to be overtaken by the storm or the ill wind that blows. The sensible captain goes to the sea with a chart to map out his course so as to reach his harbor of safety. Your program is your chart through life. Everything you do it by method. Nothing succeeds continuously or repeatedly by chance. You may get success in a particular direction by accident, but it was chiefly because that accident was the correct method in achieving that particular thing. And you happen to have struck upon the right method by chance. By trying chances that way a second time may bring you failure, as it generally does. To follow the correct method will give you the same results all the time. Therefore, make your life a methodical one. Rise at a certain hour. Work up to a certain hour. Retire at a certain hour. Do everything on time so that your entire system becomes methodical. Islam? And Prophet Noble Ali told the line with that because it's like 10 your meetings, Prophet. Don't get caught standing around in your meeting period. Do it this way. Don't do it. And get offers a caveat. Your way you want, your way you will have, but your way will not work. You see what I'm saying? And he demonstrated the same thing God demonstrated. Islam? It says if you have something to do and it ought to be done, do it with a proper method or system to get the best results. Study it first, then go after doing it. If a thing is worthwhile doing, it is worthwhile doing well. How pitiful it is to see a man living without a program, not knowing how he is going to use his days and tomorrows. If you follow him long enough, you will find him going down a ditch of failure because he has been traveling without a program. Observe the other man who has his program and see him go from one step to the next with success. If you have a program, you know what comes next. If you have none, you have to improvise one, and then it becomes too late, and then it is too late to do it properly, and so you fail. If you want to be 5,000 miles away in December and it costs $500, to avoid being disappointed at the last moment, start in January to think about your trip and make arrangements for it, so that when the time comes, you will be perfectly ready. Make this a practice in everything. Don't wait until the time arrives. Think ahead. Always try to look beyond the present by calling upon your past experience when you are looking at the future. Analyze it, arrange it to suit your needs, so that when the thing comes upon you, you will be ready. Don't let things come upon you suddenly. The man who lives in the present, preparing for the future, always enjoys a better future than the man who doesn't visualize it, but goes right into it unprepared. Seeing the future and preparing for it is a worthy object. Islam? Islam. Speaking about this timely movement of things, right? And the discipline it takes to get there, right? Invoking the name of our ancestor, beloved ancestor, the brother El-Hajj Shabazz, Malcolm X. Malcolm X's form, and again, everything happens by will of Allah, right? But Malcolm X's form wasn't able to be taken until he broke his routine. When he got to the point where, don't search nobody at the door. So-and-so, yeah, he was a threat before, but he might be all right later. You start bending rules, right? Start bending rules. Prophet gives us a degree, says, better enemies gained by truth than friends gained by flattery. You see? And a lot of times, because we're afraid to tell the truth, because, that being one of our principles, with our people is one of the hardest things to master. We've gotten by telling a lie. We've gotten by appealing to people's egos. Telling people what they want to hear, as opposed to, like if a person's energy doesn't align with yours, tell them why my energy really doesn't align with you. I don't understand why. We need to get to the bottom of that, see what's going on with that. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just, somebody smiles fake at you, you smile fake back. They bring the fakeness out of you. You see what I'm saying? Because until we get to the bottom of things, these things will continue to grow and it'll mutate what we're doing. And the interesting part about it is that outside Asiatic groups and individuals who look at us will see it immediately. See, we think people don't see it. People see it immediately. You know, Elder told me a long time ago, he said, you don't always see people that see you. You know what I mean? And there's another aspect of that you don't always see what people see about you or in you, how we're moving, you know what I'm saying? So it's a very, this work being as serious as it is, we have to, master these principles. And until we master the core of it, like there's no need in breaking down the etymology of this and stars and if we can't, be brothers and sisters. If we can't be brothers and sisters, boys, we might as well take the feathers off and go back to sleep and be Negroes, or just get ready for the Libyan slave peace. You know what I'm saying? Because, ironically, right, we used to say slavery like it was something long ago, right? It's here again, right? And who has the lessons to cure that?
Prophet, my angel.
Right, he put it in our hands, right? It's the keys of civilization wasn't in the hands of the Asiatic nations, right? So you got the answer. So now Prophet Muhammad said something, I know it's kind of wisdom, but, thought came. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, once said, he said that, if you see an injustice, the greatest thing to do is, to change it with your hands, right? If you can't change it with your hands, at least denounce it with your mouth. If you can't denounce it with your mouth, at least despise it in your heart. And know that this is the least of ways to solve the problem. Islam was? The Prophet put his law in our mouths. He put the scimitar in our hands. Islam, and he put Allah in our hearts. Why are we not acting? Right? But see, we can't act to free nobody else if we're enslaved to carnal ideals of man and just savage behavior.
Sin and disobedience.
Islam is the reason why what? Every nation suffered what? Slavery. Islam, and the Prophet says every nation suffered slavery. You see? So, look, we'll be here till our vocal cords burn out. Prophet, the thing about being a grand anything in more science stuff in America is that, when you agree to receive, to have that, charter conferred upon you, you vow, to the utmost of your ability, to the utmost of your life, to the last of your finance or whatever, to keep the Prophet's doors open. Islam, that takes a certain type of ethic and it takes a certain type of quality. You know what I'm saying? And Prophet said this is a field open to strong men and women, right? He's made that statement because there weren't a lot of strong men and women. So he was beseeching to our people, like, okay, if you think your condition can be better, join the Moorish Science Temple of America, right? But most of us don't think our conditions can be better, even when we join. So we bring what we're accustomed to in the temples, and it destroys the love. Like again, it's something Sister Taif and I talk about all the time, and it's that when ones come and visit the Moorish Science Temple of America, they should be greeted with love from the door. They should feel like this. Wow, man, I like that. You know what I mean? Like I didn't get that. I never got that. Like those who've been around me long enough have heard me give the demonstration of we're masters of hate. We're adepts in hate. You know what I'm saying? Skillful masters of hate, but we don't know love. Love is still foreign to us, right? But the Prophet gives us an opportunity on the day of love. Why is Friday your holy day? I know what Act 2 says, but let's extend it a little bit. When you see which Elohim governs each day, right? When you see which planet governs each day, which planet governs Friday? Venus. Which is the planet of love. Islam? So he made you your whole, and he called it the holy day of rest. Right? Because you ever notice, like, when you're in love, and it could be in a relationship or with a child, or you just we use that love for even I love my job, all the time stuff. But when you're experiencing that state of love, you find yourself in a state of rest from the carnal ideals from the world, even if it's for a temporary time.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And it's like, wow, I like this. You know what I'm saying? Even though it has its problems too, right? But you still in love. Now the Prophet gives us a day, where we can practice and enhance that love with one another. Like it's Moorish customary law, and these laws exist, because it's been since, 1925, 6, that when one greets you and say Islam, you have have to return. And Islamically, if you look at the Quran of Mecca, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, even said that you have to give a stronger salam back than was offered to you. Islam? Islam or Islam? Why you praise Allah? Because what does that do? Islamism. You raising each other up. You see? So a lot of times if you see your brother or sister dragging, because the cares of the world, be honest, right? You have the power to raise them up. Right. We have that power placed in our head, but we don't use it. You see, like a lot of times we don't use our powers for good. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a Marvel Comics fan. Me, Sheik Rashid and Sheik Nazir are straight nerds. We're into all of that. And the Infinity Wars commercial was incredible. We must be there. But aside from that, on the Spider-Man side of things, I know I'm using the movie, sounds crazy, but there was a quote. My man said, with great power, there's great responsibility. And there's no greater power than to have a fez or a turban placed upon your heads. It's no greater responsibility because you've been given the keys of civilization. Right. What's the Pope's? Anybody seen the Pope's logo? There's two things that's crossed like this, and what are they? On the logo. Sister Lamar, you cheating? Did you ask Sheik Google?
I actually already had Pope's logo on my phone.
You just had the Pope's logo just on your phone? Praise Allah. What is it, sister?
I thought I had it.
Because the Pope, in his title of Vicar, claims to be, he Christ on earth, so Christ comes back. So he has the what? The cross, what? There should be two keys.
Okay, that's what I got.
And they say that he has the keys of heaven and hell. Right? But being a monarch or the head of state, he also has the keys of life and death. He has the Swiss guard. He can send them cats to go die for him. That type of stuff. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he didn't just give you two keys, he gave you 101 of them.
Praise Allah.
You know what I'm saying? And anytime anyone have their own apartment or home, right? You have keys. Some of us, got a couple sets of keys, right? Jingling all over the place, right? But whatever key that you got on your key ring, right? There's a responsibility for each key. There's a rent that has to be paid. There's a utility that has to be paid. Right? So if the Prophet Noble Drew Ali gave you 101 keys, there's a responsibility. Who made you? Allah. There's a responsibility for that. I know it's old school Moors, man, Moorish Americans. That that all they speak is the Prophet. If you do any older Moors, that's all they speak. Fluent Noble Drew Ali. There's older Moors that call you, some people, yes, may I help you, or hello, or, who made you? That's how they answer the phone. Keep you on who made you, Mo? Allah, Mo, Islam, Mo, what's going on? Started off with the Prophet. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because, and that's one thing, and I don't like that, if you hear anybody slandering Moorish elders, stop it. Like, it's your duty to stop them from doing that. Especially amongst the youth, because I used to be one. If you come to Moorish Science Temple of America and you look around at what's going on, you got a lot of questions. Why is this? Why isn't it this way? Why it's got to be the elders for. Oh man, the elders need to, you say all kinds of things about the elders, right? And we can say what we want to about the Moorish elders, but one thing about them, brothers and sisters, they kept the Prophet's temple open. The Moorish Science Temple of America did not collapse under them. Like, in other words, it's groups that hit. Anybody heard Edward Blyden? You heard his name before? Edward Blyden was an Asiatic Christian missionary who traveled to Africa. And when he traveled through West Africa, he came back and he was teaching, about Islam. He said, I've seen what Islam has done in West Africa. And this is before Noble Drew Ali, this is like the late 1800s. He said, I've seen what Islam did for West Africa. And if the Asiatics of America adopt Islam, it would unify them. And he also started teaching, he said, it's Edward Wilmot Blyden, Blyden. But Edward Blyden, this man taught nationality. He was an Asiatic in the late 1800s that was traveling back and forth from Africa, throughout West Africa, so on and so forth. In the late 1800s, we were just coming out of slavery. Who was his brother, right? But the point is, we don't hear his name no more. Deuce Muhammad Ali. You had to have been in the Moorish Science Temple of America or the Nawabians or some group to have heard the name Deuce Muhammad Ali. You know what I mean? Because, and if you've heard his name, most don't know the Universal Society of Islam. The organization he created out of Detroit. You know what I'm saying? And didn't know, and most people don't know that him, Madame Blavatsky, I think Gurdjieff, a couple of the New Age type people were all contributing writers to a newspaper. To the, what was Deuce Muhammad Ali's newspaper called? Because he was a contributing writer for the Negro World for Marcus Garvey. But he had a newspaper as well. But anyway, whatever his newspaper was called, Madame Blavatsky and all of them were contributing. They were all working together, right? But again, you don't hear Deuce Muhammad Ali's name anymore, right? But it was because these Moorish elders who sacrificed, you know what I'm saying? This was before the internet, right? So I'm 45, so I remember when the internet came out. You know what I'm saying? Like, we used to talk about the internet like it was a place, because we didn't know what it was. So-and-so got the internet. Well, let's go over there and see what the internet is like it was foreign to us, you know what I mean? And we sit there and see people in groups. Yeah, I'm telling my age, it's crazy. And like, we were in Jersey, and my man was talking to somebody in DC, was like, that's him? That ain't him. I didn't believe it. I'm like, this is another trick of the devil. This is me back then. Another trick of the devil. Asking him such and such stuff, and he answered, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So now we sat back at the computer like, this is going to change everything. You know what I mean? But the point is that the elders spread, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali established 15 temples without the internet. We got the internet, and what are we doing? Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? Sometimes a portion of what your open enemy will do, he will open the floodgates of information for you. Let them know everything. Don't hide nothing no more. Put it all out. And how many times have you've gone to go research on the internet and it's just like your brain just shut down? Because there's so much you can look up, and then oftentimes you get sidetracked and you end up way over here, but you started here. Islam, all of that is a part of it. You see? But if you have a program and a platform, that you're tethered to, it brings you right back to center. You know what I'm saying? We have, and I mentioned that about the slandering the elders thing, because that's something that I did see on Facebook amongst, this question comes up about every 3 to 5 years, where you see young people going at elders, right? But, I don't want to hear personally, I don't want to hear nobody going against Kirkman Bey, Merely Ill, CM Bay, whatever. Yeah, we have our ideals about what they all did, right? But nevertheless, that's for us in-house. To the world, we solely stand on the platform of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Behind closed doors, we might pick up what each one of these masters may have done. Like example, this was a book put out by Grand Sheik F. Nelson today, who was one of C. Kirkman Bey's Grand Sheiks. It's a phenomenal book. But there's a lot of oral statements in there that they teach strictly from their line. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of customary things from their line and stuff like that. But nevertheless, again, giving honors to our brother, can you zoom in on this? Our brother C. Kirkman Bey. Now, do Moors mark their fezzes? No, his fez is marked. That's between him and Allah. I don't have nothing to do with that. Islam? But the point is, was he responsible for purchasing land in Prince George's County, Virginia? Yes, the Moorish colony. Was he responsible for establishing butcher shops, grocery stores? Yes, these brothers did all of that, right? But the Prophet also said that, it'll be 50 years before you understand what I even brought you. And 50 years from now, you won't even know that I can. You see what I'm saying? But it's all that select few. Just sharing a story with you. Growing up, Allah always placed Moorish Americans around me, but I didn't know what I was looking at because it was real quiet. It was real secret, real, 2 doors down from me growing up, when my mother moved me out of the projects into like a little, suburban type neighborhood. 2 doors down from me lived a Moorish American, Brother Ahmad Ranesi-El, and his mother, Sister Ranesi-El, Sheik Ranesi-El, was actually Grand Sheik in Glassboro, New Jersey. And she's like 90, I think she's like 93. Still Grand Sheik. Still attending meetings. Still at the convention. Still breathing that holy breath. Couldn't see over this podium, little short sister, But the point is, I remember every Friday like clockwork, I would come out just to see him do it. I would come out and look, and she have an all white turban on, she'd pull up to pick up her grandson, and he have his fez on, they get in the car and they ride past. But when I see him in school, he never talked about it. And I wish he would have, because I was going through my Black Power phase at the time, and Public Enemy and the rest of it. But, fine, upstanding young man, always. Sister Typhon, remember, this brother right here was always a real upright individual. You know, blew my mind a little bit because he could talk to Asiatics and Europeans equally, and it was no problem. Where I was hung up, I was like, oh, devils, not, you know what I'm saying? I had that hate. He could talk to him, I don't understand why he's talking with them. You see what I'm saying? But, you know, all he knows, he was born and raised in North Central America. So all he knows is love instead of hate. That's all he knows. You understand what I'm saying? Praise Allah for that. But, you know, that best friend growing up, you know, Craig Bay, he was a Bay. You know, I was in 7th grade, I was in the class with a young man, Michael Bay. Now, whether they knew what they had or not, or just was born with the title, that's a whole other thing. You know, up north, there's a thing of, you know, people having righteous, holy names, but living real savage lives. You know what I'm saying? But the point is that they came across this knowledge, but the knowledge stayed alive. You see? And if you hear anybody going against the Nation of Islam, stop that. Islam, Prophet would have never stood for that in his damn time. You know that to be true because Marcus Mosiah Garvey was not a card-carrying member of the Mormon Temple of America. But he commanded us to give honors to that brother for what he did. Islam, his organization was called the Universal Negro Improvement Association. His followers called themselves Negroes. Islam, Prophet called him his forward. Because it wasn't his charge to teach that. Marcus Garvey had his own charge. Moses Riley had his own charge. Elijah Muhammad had his own charge. Islam, and if you go amongst, you know, you say you tell a tree by the fruit that it bears, you know, you visit any one of the Nation of Islam mosques with your fez on, you'll be treated automatically like family.
Islam.
They don't question you on something, what you got that on up in here, we ain't about all that. Moses Riley, Islam, brother, come on and have a seat. Brother Gerald, Islam, Brother Gerald, you see this, he was demonstrating earlier on, you know, again, Facebook. And he was demonstrating, he pulled a section out of chapter 15 of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. You know, he's a student minister at Mosque 15, Muhammad's Mosque 15. He don't have to do that. But he looked in it and, you know, he saw benefit with the Prophet taught and demonstrated. Islam, now if we represent ourselves properly, we represent the Prophet properly, this movement will catch on. It's already starting to catch on. You hear rappers like Waka Flocka and talking about don't call me black and I ain't, you know what I'm saying? I ain't from this and I don't, you know, one artist, I don't believe in all that slave shit, this and that. You know, the works of these little small gatherings is starting to leak into the mainstream. You know, Andre 3000 with a fez on, and back when Jay Electronica had one on. It's starting to slowly catch on. More with the fez pop up in the Erykah Badu video, all these type of things. They seem like nothing. It seems like nothing. And a lot of times as leaders, sometimes we even get frustrated. You know what I'm saying? Because we work so hard and one seems to not, right? But it's like, you gotta realize what the Prophet called us to is very high, right? And a lot of times people feel like, based on where their lives are at the time, that they can't live their life accordingly, right? But we shouldn't create an environment where when they hit the door, we hit them with the judgment. You see what I'm saying? Now, once they get their card in their hand, it's a little different thing, because now you gotta abide by the law, right? But until such time, you know, just love them. You know, even Jesus sat with the thieves and the courtesans, you know what I mean? He didn't do what they did. You know, I got a lot of Moors to pull that on me, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, Mo, you got the Prophet nationality card, like Islam. Mo, why you drunk, Mo? Why you drinking? Oh, well, Mo, you know, I'm teaching Asiatics, Mo, they drink, so I gotta drink. Nah, Mo, because the law is on you, you know, and it says no alcoholic beverages or no harmful motive that can cause detriment, you know, or to cause the public to disagree with us, you know. So you can't be no sheik and you drunk, you know what I'm saying? Because that will cause the public to disagree with us. This, you know, most of us was raised with Christianized morals. You see? So how people see that and immediately fall out. And forget all the loftiness that you're teaching that could benefit them. Islam? You know, so, you know, that's that piece right there. But let me move forward. Just a couple more paragraphs to try to point out. It says, again, back to Marcus Garvey. It says, always try to look into the future. You make slight mistakes here and there, but if you gauge it properly, with the experience of the past and the conditions of the present, you may strike an even or accurate estimate of what it ought to be. So when it comes, you will be able to welcome it with some kind of satisfaction. To live for something doesn't only mean something for yourself, but something for your kith and kin and something for your race. If a father lives for something, he ought to be able to see his children through that something, so that when he does not accomplish for himself, might be accomplished for his children. For instance, an industrious father lives with the hope of improving his social and economic condition. He would like to live in a beautiful mansion on the hill from which he can see the country places around, the valleys, dales, and the lofty mountains. But he is working in the valley, living in a small cottage. He is growing older without his dreams realized, but he looks to his son and says, if I cannot enjoy this desire of mine, because I may be too old, when the time comes, I shall make it possible for my son or grandson to live on that hilltop. That is living in the future. That is living for something. When the old man dies, the son inherits, and when the son dies, the grandson inherits what? That which the grandfather lived for. Islam? And that's a demonstration right there that we have been, as a race of people, as a nationality, we have been negligent in it, which is the aspect of inheritance. You see what I'm saying? I mentioned a few weeks back how, there's a large phenomenon of, Asiatics using their children's credit. That type of stuff, you know what I'm saying? And destroying it, you know what I mean? And making it almost impossible for them to start off with a clean state, much less, to actually start off inheriting a particular thing, I was in high school with a European whose father died, and, his father left him $250,000, $250,000. Now, granted, he had to do like 3 years of college or something like that. But the interesting part is, how different would your life have been? And I don't know what background you come from. Y'all might come from wealthy background. I don't, right? If you would have, when you turn 18, they said, look, we just need you to do 3 years of college, and then when you come home at 21, here's $250,000. How different would your life be? Islam? It's something to consider. And then even like, something that Moors don't talk about, and I'm not the one to be doing a sales pitch from behind the rostrum, but, life insurance. Our people, who we have that, give us this our daily bread mentality, which, it served its place, right? But I've even seen that. I didn't see it until I moved to Atlanta, it was an interesting thing. But ones would pass form and then have to take up collections in the neighborhood to bury. You know what I mean? That's called sin and disobedience. You know what I'm saying? I was watching one lecture and the individual said, why not make somebody's death profitable? To the point where, and I know this sounds, I'm running the risk of sounding very capitalistic, but if, you're going to pass form one day, you have children, I think it's irresponsible to not have life insurance and at least leave your child $1 million. You get $1 million policy right at $200 a month. If that's too lofty for you, start it lower. You know what I'm saying? You can get 500,000 maybe for about 100, 150. You see what I'm saying? So when you pass form, your genealogy can come up off your passing. Y'all all right? Does that sound bad? That's and until we start thinking on that level more, we're not civilizing nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not doing anything until you start creating options for your pedigree. You know what I mean? So it's like, and it comes from very tangible things. You know what I mean? And, get yourself some foreign national friends and see how they move. And you'll see this is how they move. You know what I mean? They will, they don't brag about this stuff. They're not in the streets shouting, this is what you need to do. Like, we don't be fools that do that. Get on soapboxes and be screaming to the community. Nobody civilized does that. They form their societies and they teach it within the society. Period. And those who's not a part of that society don't benefit from that wisdom. You know what I mean? Now, they do business between societies. Like a Jewish rabbi might do some business with a Sikh priest, and they get together and do some business or real estate together or whatever, right? But when they're at the negotiating table, each one is there representing the interest of his own group. And until we get back to that, those particular premises, Moors we're just practicing. There's nothing wrong with practice because it's how you get better. But know that we ain't nation building. We ain't nation building. Just like we ain't nation building. We're practicing nation building. Right? And they say tell the truth and shame the devil. Because if we were really nation building, I bear witness, like here, especially here in Atlanta, if we were really nation building, the Asiatics in Atlanta would be further than they are. That's our fault. That's not their fault. It's not their fault. Allah says, He will not hold a person responsible for what they don't know. He also says that He will not place a burden on you greater than you can bear. You see what I'm saying? So the fact that the Asiatics are living a savage life, I'll say a savage life, because some of them hear the truth and don't want to respond, right? But a lot of them are just living an uncivilized life. You know, and the difference between the two is just, you know, the uncivilized one doesn't know the truth. The savage is the one that hears the truth and just rejects it. You see what I'm saying? You know, or worse yet, was in the truth and then went back and rejected it. You see what I'm saying? So, Moism just, you know, in the spirit of the prophet, it was Raleigh, you know, and we demonstrated the divine plea, right? If you don't learn anything else that Temple number 19 stands for, and, you know, especially that what I myself as a man stand for, you know, I stand for being, you know, just being straight up with one another. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you look at like the house of Cancer, you know, which is a very emotional house. Everything concerning Cancer is a container, that which holds something, right? Like that vase over there, you know, is a symbol of Cancer, as an example, because it's a container. You see what I'm saying? One thing you'll find out about people that's from the house of Cancer, the astrological house of Cancer, is that they hold negative emotions, right? Their polarity is Capricorn, who's the exact opposite. They speak everything. A Capricorn, like Prophet Noble Raleigh, was a Capricorn. Prophet Noble Raleigh couldn't hold the truth in if he wanted to. You see what I'm saying? Back to Cancer. Cancer's, you know, glyph, well not glyph, but the animal representing is the crab, right? Now, we hear that in the street, oh, so-and-so's a crab, so-and-so's a crab. But what's the attribute that we're saying that they are? It says a crab, you know, if you know, how does a crab walk? Everybody ever noticed? Sideways. He don't walk, he don't come straight up, he comes side to side. You know what I mean? What's another attribute of a crab? If you put a bunch of them in a barrel, what happens?
Pull each other down.
And pull each other down. You see what I'm saying? You know, and I've sat and watched, I was at the DeKalb Farmers Market one day. You know, I was bored. I'm sitting there watching some crabs, right? But I just wanted to see the metaphor play itself out, you know, and I watched the one, he was all the way at the bottom. I watched this cat work his way all the way to the top. And it was a joker that was coming right after him. I'm like, oh, wow, they're going to get out together. I know he's not going to do what I think he's going to do. The one that was after him climbed to the top just to pull the other one down to the bottom. I said, oh, praise be to Allah. Just to see that, right? Because you see your own people do it daily. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, the things that we suffer from, man, is like, you know, when the prophet talks about sin and disobedience, right? You know, so he says sin, right? You know, and then sin is that which deludes in slavery, right? And then, you know, disobedience, you know, how many times the prophets say obey? You know, I mean, people only hear it when it says, you know, wife, obey your husband, but it's all through your Quran, right? Even in the Quran of Mecca, it says that the faithful are those that say, we hear and we obey. There's no room in we hear and we obey for questioning. You know what I mean? Because if it was a lawful order that was issued, you followed it without question, because it came down from a lawful source. You see what I'm saying? But, you know, that's an attribute that we have to practice, and is it just coming straight up and just be straight up with one another, be honest. You know what I mean? And if our honesty offends, right, the person that told you that truth, you know, in truth, you shouldn't be offended by it. You know, if they told it to you for your, you know, what's that? Communicated to the wise, you know, for their instruction. Communicated for the ignorant for their instruction. Communicate to the wise for thine what? Own improvement. Islam. So, you know, they say iron sharpens iron, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, and even sometimes, man, like, you know, even if you was demonstrating martial arts, you know, you're getting, you know, in the dojo, you have to spar, right? Or if you box, you got to spar, right? But if you plan when you spar, you're not going to be prepared for the real match. You know what I'm saying? I was talking to Professor Griffin one time from Public Enemy. He's always in Atlanta, so I ran into him in the West End. And, you know, he was talking about, you know, he's a martial artist, you know, and he was talking about, you know, when he's training in the dojo, he said, I'm cool with you all the way up to the point where it's like, go. After that, I don't know. After that, everything goes. I'm gonna try to take the head off, because unless we're training like that, right? Unless we're demonstrating, like, in other words, you know, I strive for anyone who stands behind this podium, or even the guest podium, that when you demonstrate before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, speak as though you're speaking to all the citizens of the United States of America. Speak as though you're speaking, you got all the Asiatics in America in one room. Speak from that level of demonstration. Islam? Because that is what will prepare you when it's your time to demonstrate in that capacity. Islam? You know, sometimes, you know, opportunities fall in your lap. So you might have to, you know, speak at a city council meeting on some impromptu type stuff. Like, no, you don't have time to prepare. You have to do it today. Let's go. You know what I mean? You know, oh, I gotta get ready. No, you ain't got your Quran or your Circle 7 with you. You left your bag at home. Now you gotta be the Holy Quran and more sides. You gotta be Prophet Noble Riley because that's the only way they're gonna meet him. Islam. So, the more we become practicing and the more we, look at the opportunity that we have, to become greater. You know what I mean? That's what the divine plea is all about. Like when you pleading with somebody, you almost begging them. You know what I mean? And for a prophet of Allah to say that he was going to plead with somebody to do right, who are we to do any less? Yeah, people, they're going to get on your nerves. Comes with it. You know what I mean? But if you signed up for the job, that's a part of your job description to be able to put up with it. And that's a part of when you said, I'm a citizen of the USA, Noble Drew Ali, the Prophet. All of that was in that job description. Islam, and again, more it's just like so many things happening, and they're happening in real time, exceedingly fast. And it's the Moorish Americans that have the answers to the troubled world. You know what I mean? Right now, they just said that Donald Trump's, surely Allah speaks the truth to us, holy and divine forerunner, the Honorable Marcus Messiah God of Islam, it has said that Donald Trump's, what was the guy, Flynn, I forget his position, but he just pled guilty to that and said he'll be testifying against Trump. That's going to be interesting. To see someone testify against a sitting president who was once in your cabinet. Islam? So we're saying things now that you have never seen before. The British Parliament yesterday just denounced Donald Trump. Did y'all see that? They just denounced Donald Trump because he's supposed to be making a state visit there. And all of the Islamobites, the various, I'm not quite sure in Parliament what their titles are, but their equivalents of like congressmen and senators, so on and so forth, were in the House of Commons going off. Like, if you let this dude in this country, it's going to be a problem. Because you heard what he did with the retweet. Y'all heard about that, right? No? So there's a group called Britain First, okay? Britain First sounds like a patriotic group that's about government, but they're actually like, kind of like, Britain's version of kind of like a corporate Ku Klux Klan type, right? Very racist, very whatever. They post a lot of anti-Islamic stuff, right? Well, there were the two videos that he got from the Britain First website, and it was supposed to be of foreign national Muslims smacking up Europeans and killing them or whatever. And he retweeted it. But what he did was he was trying to send it to Theresa May, who I believe is the prime minister. But he sent it to a private citizen named Theresa May, who leaked it to the press. And then he retweeted it to the right Theresa May and stuff like that. So when the prime minister got it, she spread the word out or whatever, and it got to the House of Commons, and they're like, look, man, because that was basically like when, that's like to give you an example. When anybody speaks from behind the rostrum on the more sides of America, whatever comes across that becomes policy. It's the same thing like, the president. Why the president has teleprompters. The president has teleprompters to keep him to a script so he don't freestyle. Barack Obama was him, Clinton, and Reagan were about and Kennedy were about some of the only ones that actually get up without the script and just freestyle and stay within the script or whatever. But so anyway, so he retweets the thing and it just causes this whole firestorm, whatever. So you got Europeans going off about him, they said either he's, and I'm quoting them to stay in line with law, but they said that either he's an idiot, incompetent, insane, or all three. And there's something called the Family of Nations, and usually they don't do that stuff in the open. So when you see it happening in the open, that's a paradigm shift. You see? When you see Europeans openly banging on other Europeans, that's letting you know that there's a power vacuum being created here. You see? And it's prime for the Moorish Americans to take that opportunity and capitalize on it. You get in government. You see? But, this is the place where we use to groom our people whom we trust. Yeah, we could endorse an Asiatic. Like right now, the city of Atlanta, we could look at, Keisha Lance Bottoms, which as opposed to Mary Norwood, and again, you're your own citizen. But when you compare them, it's really no choice, right? But, or you could back Norwood, if you like, and overthrow 40 years of Asiatic mayors in Atlanta, right? But the point is, you could back Keisha Lance Bottoms and hope she do the right thing, and stay on her, make sure she does. Or you could work to pick a sincere one amongst you all that we all trust, and we groom that person to get them whatever political science, education they need, stuff like that, whatever, to get them ready to send them in there to represent the interests of the mortuary. That's really what should be done, instead of trusting ones, because a lot of times when you put these Asiatics in these particular seats, if you back them and endorse them, they have other, allegiances. They're part of different orders and so on and so forth. They're under oaths and all types of stuff. So we put them in there. How many politicians that say yes to people and did the opposite because they have another allegiance? You see, because you need the ability to be able to go to that politician's house and knock on his door or her door. You said you were going to do such and such and such, and you didn't. What's up with that? You might not have that access to keep your last bottles. Respect to it. Islam, we need to groom our own, and that's what this is really ultimately about. Because again, this is what the other civilized nations do. When you see all these various different politicians running with different nationalities, guaranteed there's a society of that particular pedigree that's backing them up. And even Barack Obama, with respect to everything he did, he didn't just pop up one-term senator and become president. That don't happen unless you're part of various different orders. You've got them allegiances and stuff. You see? So there is a hidden hand. You see? There's a hidden hand that moves the Moore Science Temple of America, known as the Adept Chamber of the Moore Science Temple of America. You see what I'm saying? And that Adept Chamber is supposed to be kept pure to the point where it can groom ones. You see? Where you look at, like, I use examples like this brother right here, Brother John Gibbons-El, who was one of the prophet's chauffeurs, along with another brother, I believe his name was Abraham Bay. But this brother was in the car with Prophet Raleigh when he was going riding around setting up the 15 temples, right? Now, what conversations do you think him and the prophet had? You ever took a long distance trip with somebody in a car? Y'all start talking about all kind of stuff. It might start off rigid, right? But if it's a long trip, you're gonna open up, start telling things. You learn things about that person you never would have known in a regular dealings with them, right? And then you got John Gibbons-El, who's he's around the prophet all this time. Prophet passes for him. He demonstrates a degree of reincarnation. Call himself the reincarnated prophet, right? And in 2017, we could call him crazy, right? But when he left, like 7 temples left with him. You know what I mean? And it was thousands of Moors that stood with that Moor right there. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not here to endorse, Brother John Gibbons and everything that he did. But, anytime anybody was around the prophet, that much gained something. Islam, So that's any leader. Any leader that sacrifices their life for what they're into, you're gonna gain from it. I don't care what. You're gonna pick something from it's a side of them. It's where it says in the Holy Quran, the Moore Science Temple of America, that men name the side of Allah that they see, right? But that name is based on their dedication, to the science behind that particular name. You know what I mean? So when you look at, let's say, pale Jews, right? Pale Jews are excellent in finance. Right? Pale Jews have worked their way, and that seems like a broad stereotype, but it's there, right? Have worked their way in every facet of government that you can name, right? But they're reading our Torah. They're living by our Torah. Yeah, of course, they've been Mishnah, the Talmud, and they created a bunch of other stuff too, right? But the point is that they took, they created a reality behind a particular, they created a support behind a particular ideal, and they carried that out. And it granted them success in this life as a result thereof. Islam? So, a lot of us are still in the belief stage of the Moore Science Temple of America where we still believe what the Prophet said. Because if we truly have faith in what the Prophet said, on some, that which man knows is the truth, we back each other up. You know what I'm saying? We be there for one another. We cover each other. You know what I'm saying? We pull our coattails when we err. You know what I'm saying? Not to put your ego on display or to bust somebody down, but just to, like, better than that. Love you more. You know what I'm saying? We represent the prophet. We gotta bring us up, more. Come on, let's do this together, more. You weaken that, I'm gonna help you. Come on, we do it together. That type of encouragement, because where do we go to get the encouragement in the world? You know what I'm saying? Most of us come from broken families. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about y'all. You know what I'm saying? But how many of you have friends? Don't play with that word. Have friends that are actually 100% into what you're into. You know what I mean? Like our people, our street brothers love to uplift that mafioso, Italian mob stuff, right? But if you was to live according to that ideal, They don't deal with outsiders. You know, the Quran of Mecca talks about, it uses a principle called rank hatred. You know what I'm saying? Like where it talks about, you notice like, in the broad Islamic world when they do prayer, everything, they're in military rank, right? And it says, rank hatred has already, appeared within your ranks. In other words, there are those that despise the fact that you have to stand shoulder to shoulder with you. You know what I'm saying? That, if one of your brothers disappears for a long time, you pop up at his house, knock on his door, boy, what's good? We ain't heard from you, where you at? You know what I'm saying? That's what this is about. You know what I mean? Because again, it's like, that's what the ancient Moors, that's how they demonstrated. You couldn't have did. Okay, General Tariq, right? We going to Spain, all right? He got every soldier accounted for, right? Let's say a detachment of 20 soldiers wasn't where they were supposed to be right when they were about to get on the boats. You think he would have left? Go get them, bring them here. He might have beheaded them back in them days, right? But the point is that, he didn't play those type of things because he knew, like, we got work to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, you say you with this, let's go. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. Life shows up on all of us. You know what I mean? I'm very clear. You know what I mean? But it's just like, again, it's like, what excuse is good enough? You know what I mean? I'm talking to me before y'all. Like, what excuse is good enough to be, I'm quite sure the prophet had plenty of, like, towards the end, the prophet had tuberculosis. Towards the end, very painful disease. You know what I mean? But he didn't stop working though. If you look at the picture when he's sitting with the politicians and stuff, if you look at him, he didn't look well. Then, Islam, and that was when he apexed. That was when he reached his peak. But he had burnt his form up because again, when you traveling all over the country, you know what I'm saying? The man didn't even get a chance to make any kids. Think about that, right? His brother's moving and shaking, political realm, no children, not one. He got a child nowhere, right? But the point is that the fact that his sacrifices was so ridiculous, and keep in mind he was only 27 when he started. You know what I mean? Passed form at 43. You know what I mean? And put forth an idea, enshrined an idea that we're still talking about to this day. You know what I mean? I think all of us in this room would love to contribute to something where we will be remembered like that. You know what I mean? And this is the opportunity that we have to do that. You know what I mean? Like when we read the great histories of Hannibal and General Tariq and the Prophet Muhammad when he took Mecca back and all that type of stuff. Those were great histories. Like, man, I would love to have been there when they went and took Mecca back and smashed the idols and whatever. We got a chance to do that right now. We got a chance to take Atlanta. You know what I mean? Like this is promoted as the Asiatic city, but we know it's not really. It's an Asiatic face, but the Europeans in the Capitol building run Atlanta. Respect to the Mayor Kassim Reed, but that's where he comes from, out of the Capitol building. You know what I'm saying? So he had a lot of allegiances. You see? So Moors again, just in the sense and in the spirit of the divine plea, I'm pleading with you all, to really, take your time to really get into, every part of what the prophet laid out. And I don't care if you find one verse that speaks to you and becomes your personal ministry, become an adept at that. You know what I mean? The virtues are a lot of the various different stations. You know what I'm saying? So, seek not to acquire all of them. You know what I'm saying? You might not be the teacher. You know what I'm saying? You might be the organizer. You might be the head, like the business manager that we can come to organize the businesses. You know what I mean? You might be the one that's over the children to make sure they get the lessons they need. You see what I'm saying? But whatever it is, make sure you find your specialty. You gotta look inside and see what really speaks to you and volunteer for that. I'd like to volunteer for such and such. You know what I'm saying? Like it might not be in everybody's spirit that when a new person come, to go out your way to greet them. Let's appoint someone to be, something let's over hospitality and greeting. You know what I'm saying? To come up and actually welcome them. You know what I mean? Like, I hear Moors say a lot of times, I don't like to come to the temple because it reminds me of church, right? And I say all the time, like, okay, let's look at the churches, right? In Georgia, let's say in the city of Atlanta, how many churches you think there are? A few thousand. Joints be crowded. Go there on a Sunday, see what's going on, right? Talk to the pastor and see if the pastor got the mayor or the council person's number in his phone and can get an audience with them with no problem. You see? Now, if that's called church, which people are spooked out by the Greek word church, which comes from the word kirkos, which just means assembly, right? So when you talk about the legislative body of any government, right, it's called a legislative assembly, right? So if I was to use that in Greek, that's called church. Okay? But are you saying that you just don't like the aspect of gathering and having an agenda to live out? It's an itinerary that everybody has to live according to, and it's effective. You understand what I'm saying? There's a church called, and I hate to give a plug, I wish I would have said that name. But they're, a group of Europeans. Here in District 12, specifically here Cleveland Avenue, there's about 100 of them every week. They come through here with Bibles and bologna sandwiches and orange juice, bag lunches. And they come right here and pray on and pray for Asiatics. Now, me being a Muslim, of course I feel some kind of way about that, right? But I can't, one thing, the Honorable Muhammad, he said, what do you do if your enemy knocks at your door, right? So he asked the brothers, and the brothers were like, kill him, do this to him. He said, no. He said, if he came in peace, let him in. He said, sit down and have a civilized conversation with your enemy, you might learn something, right? When you're looking at them moving in your communities like that, because be clear that you couldn't take 100 Asiatics to Buckhead without somebody from the community watching me, excuse me, what are you guys doing over here? You see what I'm saying? Without being checked at the door. But I honor the discipline and sacrifice that them Europeans is doing to move with our people. I know that sounds crazy. I'm not endorsing it, but I respect the discipline. Because I'm quite sure they all got lives. They're human, they have to, right? But they out here, and I've seen that group go from like about 10 to 15 to 100. And they come down like 2x2 formation, and it's just like a line of them, just a line of them. And I'm like, and I've been putting that out there for about at least a year now. Let more know, like, this is how communities get taken. This is how the Fourth Ward downtown got taken. It was the same thing. The missionaries always come first. You know what I mean? And Prophet gave you the degree of missionary too on the back of your authority. You know what I'm saying? But we're so damaged by Christianity. You know what I'm saying? When we hear those terms, we forget that the root word of missionary is mission. You know what I'm saying? Somebody walking with a purpose, and that's what Garvey was just talking about. You know what I'm saying? So, again, I'm pleading, look, man, long as you love the Prophet Noble Drali, long as you're willing to use, this as conflict resolution, that when things go awry, we can go to this, to get past it so we can keep moving. And, long as you're willing to put up everything you got, energy-wise, finance, all of that, so we can pull this off, I'm willing to work with you. You see what I'm saying? But I'm telling you, if you think, I've been saying for years, like, you think slavery can't be brought back on American shores? Crazy. We're seeing it right now in Libya. You know what I mean? And if you watch the videos of the Prophet called them the mistreatments and abuses that the lawful citizens care to bestow, if you watch what's being inflicted upon them, it's the same stuff that happened to our forefathers. Same thing right now. You know what I mean? And why is it happening to them? Because they don't have a nationality. Who is it that's being tortured and enslaved over there in Libya right now? Is it the Libyan citizens? Stateless persons. Ones that flee, they call them refugees, right? Same thing they called our people down in Katrina, right? The ones that fled the civil wars and left Sudan and Eritrea and all these different places and came to Libya because that's the shortest distance other than Morocco. And Morocco ain't going for it, but the shortest distance to get to Europe, right? And then when you do the science on it, it's, there's a video or something now, I put it on my page, but Italy paid Libya $253 million back in February to block Africans coming from different nations from coming into Italy. You know what I'm saying? So the European nations are, orchestrating it, but the Libyan nationals are the ones that's carrying it out. You see what I'm saying? And who's going to stop it? Who's going to speak out against it? Yeah, the UN can denounce it, but there's no, they said it has no teeth. It's a good thing to condemn, but it's better to enforce. You know what I mean? But again, there's but one group in this country that has the answer for that. You know what I mean? And our voice ain't loud enough. You know what I'm saying? Because the voices are too spread out. You know what I mean? It needs to be a concentrated voice, not just to help them. That's going on all over the place. While that's going on, we forgot about Syria. We forgot about the stuff that's going on in Haiti. We forgot about Puerto Rico. When was the last time you heard Puerto Rico mentioned in the news? Since the Libyan things took place. But guess what? It's still going on. Brother, do we have power in Puerto Rico yet?
Like a third.
A third of it. A third of the island has power. You know what I'm saying? But who has the answers for that? And poor Puerto Rico, man. Because to have a representative but that has no say-so. He can't cast a vote. But yet you can take tax dollars, billions, from Puerto Rico. Where's the balance in that? You see what I'm saying? Who's fighting to change that? You know, who's really fighting the fight for statehood for Puerto Rico like it needs to be? You see what I'm saying? And most of us are ignorant of the condition they're in, that they're basically a colony. We say territory. They're basically a colony. You know what I mean? So, you know, Noble Drew Ali, you know, he was fighting against all of this. And if you look at the places he was moving in, a brother sent me an old Moorish Guide newspaper article. I think I sent to Brother Raphael and Sheik Rashid. And in there, it talks about, it was the one when he just got back from Cuba and Mexico. It said in there that he went to Cuba and Mexico with the express purpose of, you know, connecting the family from here to the family there. You know what I mean? There's no strange happening that right now, you know, they've opened Cuba up. We can go there now. I have a customer of mine, he just came back. He had round trip ticket to Cuba, $300. We can go open a temple in Cuba right now, $300. We can get out of here and go work with them. But charity begins at home though, right? You see what I'm saying? You know, and we need linguists, because if we leave America and travel throughout leave North America and travel throughout the Americas, we're gonna need Spanish interpreters. You see, so a lot of times the prophet gives us exactly what we need amongst them, and we gotta expand the talents that's already amongst us. Islam? It's not a game, because the time that we're wasting is our own, and we gotta put the ancient hatreds aside. You know what I mean? And if there are any issues that are dividing us, we gotta put it on the table. We gotta deal with it and move forward. You know what I'm saying? As family, like we don't move forward separate. We gotta move forward together, because that's the only way we're gonna get past this stuff is together. Islam? Are there any comments, concerns, questions, or statements? No? With that, I'll lower the meeting. Islam Moors?
Islam.
Moorish Science Temple of America, Noble Drew Ali founder, home office, Chicago, Illinois, March 11th, 1929. A warning from the prophet to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitated speech while on their jobs, homes, or on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We offer love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. Noble Drew Ali. Islam?
Islam.
Islam?
Islam.
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 All praises are due to Allah, the highest of honors, was holy divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam, Moors?
Islam.
In parting, I'd like to leave you with something, a bit of wisdom from a record known as the Wisdom of Solomon. This is chapter 5 of the Wisdom of Solomon. It says, "Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as has afflicted him, and made no account of his labors. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they look for. And they, repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit, shall say within themselves, this was he whom we had sometimes in derision, and a proverb of reproach. We fools accounted his life madness, and his end to be without honor. How is he numbered among the children of the great God, and his lot now amongst the saints?" Islam, Moors?
Islam.
We carry these instructions forward. The nations of the earth will be in amazement, like how did they come out of that? Islam. And ironically, it's going to be you that, wins your brothers in Africa back. A lot of us run there looking for salvation, but the salvation is in the hands of the ones that were in ground zero for child slavery. Islam. And we have to remember that, praise Allah for being born on these shores. Because you were given something, think about it. The brothers in the East that are demonstrating an Islamic degree, all they have, which is a powerful degree, but all they have is the degrees of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, which is just the letter of the law. Now, if you read the Quran of Mecca, in Arabic and in English, the Quran of Mecca doesn't abolish slavery. It regulates it. Ponder on that. It doesn't abolish it. It regulates it. Islam, the Holy Quran, the Moorish Science Temple of America, abolishes it in the sense of it gives you. It's the spirit that gave birth to. We have in the Divine Constitution of bylaws as Act 6, which there be no Negroes, blacks, colors, Ethiopians, etc. Islam, and every person must come in unto their own. They must confess their own. All right, and every person should have the equal rights of citizenship. Right? Go back and watch this video circulating with Robert Mugabe when he first took power. He said his main thing that he wanted to eradicate was when the Europeans would demonstrate, because the old name for Zimbabwe was Rhodesia, named after Cecil Rhodes, right? Came in and raped the land. Well, he came in and was like, look, we're obviously going to change the name, all that kind of stuff, but we're going to make sure that every person, regardless of their color, has the full rights of citizenship. That's the Mujrali speaking. That's that spirit. Islam? That's the new era of time, all right? Go back and read the Constitution of Morocco when you get a chance, where it says that everyone born in the borders of Morocco shall have a nationality and citizenship, or be a subject of Morocco. Islam? All right? So again, Moors, just be thankful for what you have and actuate it, because it's time to put these lessons to use. Islam? Everyone please rise, face the east, which is right ahead of you. Tradition of our forefathers, we'll end with the Moorish American prayer. Close with the Moorish American prayer. Raise 5 fingers on your left, 2 fingers on your right. Invoking the sacred presence of 7 Elohim, the creating everything that ever was, is, or evermore shall be. Please repeat after me. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day. Through his holy prophet, through Ali. Amen. Islam, Moors. Praise Allah.